President Biden is expected to officially announce Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer's retirement from the court. Though the 83-year-old liberal judge's departure doesn't stand to affect the court's partisan makeup, a piece from this morning in The Hill observes that it could throw, quote, a curveball into both parties' midterm plans. This fall, quote, injecting a highly partisan issue into an already combustible election cycle. Julia Manchester from The Hill co-authored that piece to join us live to kind of make this make sense to all of us and the everyday person here. The White House has been vetting candidates to replace Justice Breyer for some time because Democrats have been pushing for President Biden to replace him for years now. But what actually was the final straw to make him retire?
Well, it's interesting, Adrienne. We have to look at the electoral politics really surrounding this retirement and the calculus Democrats put forth when really pushing Justice Breyer to make this decision. Remember, this does not change the ideological makeup of the court. Remember, Justice Breyer is still considered a liberal justice, even though he's moderately liberal. But Democrats essentially said, look, he is older, and right now we have a Democratic president. We have a Democratic majority in the Senate. So right now, it would be ideal to get a younger liberal justice into that seat, not to necessarily sway the leaning of the court, because it won't do that, but to really cement the liberal sway of that seat. So that was really the strategy behind pushing Breyer to retire, especially among progressives.
But it's kind of like anticlimactic in so many ways, because no matter who is replacing Justice Breyer, the makeup of the court doesn't change. So it's not this stunning headline for Democrats, though. Do you think it will invigorate the liberal base if they do put someone in that seat who is a completely different face than Justice Breyer?
Well, that's what Democratic sources are telling me. Look, they point to a lot of the issues surrounding the Supreme Court right now, chiefly the abortion debate, saying they need a strong, progressive, liberal judge in that seat to really continue to combat a lot of these anti-abortion measures that you see in a number of lower courts and state legislatures across the country, and to speak in favor of abortion rights activists and such. There's also a push, obviously, to get an African-American woman to serve in that seat. President Biden made that promise during a 2020 presidential debate, and you see a lot of black political activists saying he needs to keep that promise, and many of them believe he will keep that promise, just looking to who his vice president is and his work to really elevate black women in the political and policy sphere. So this is something that I think a lot of Biden's allies are watching intently, really to see what happens. In terms of whether it'll galvanize voters to the polls, I don't know if it will have that big of an impact. However, it gives Democrats something to talk about other than a lot of these other issues that have been plaguing them, such as inflation.
Right. And it could make history. Julia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Adrienne.
Now, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.